Hi everyone. A lot of you have been asking me about my interview with The View, which I posted about, and my thoughts on the whole Whoopi Goldberg issue, which seems to be slowly dissipating at this point. So yes, I was invited to interview with The View about 4 years ago. It was an honor and I was excited. I guess regardless of what the mainstream media has become or what you think of it, for someone who's worked her way up in the media without a family dynasty or without doing something super provocative, I'd say it's pretty thrilling to be invited to interview for a spot on a national talk show that should represent all kinds of viewpoints. Does it? No, but it has the potential to, and that's why I went, and that's why I am thankful for the opportunity. And for those who asked what ended up happening, well, they made a wonderful choice and hired Meghan McCain for the position shortly thereafter. But all that aside, I thought it's worth a few minutes just to speak candidly about what's going on, not just with The View or this incident with Whoopi, but in general. I think a lot of people miss the true issue behind the Whoopi incident. There are so many different opinions as to how to interpret what had happened, but the true debate wasn't about whether the 2 weeks time off was enough punishment, and it wasn't about whether she should be fired or not. But the main issue was the actual debate in the arena of public opinions over what can actually count as an issue. I mean, what culture? Who owns that? They're the ones who are dictating what we can and cannot get angry about, what is hate speech and what is not, what is insensitive and what is not, what should be punished and what should not. To put it in a different way, to me, the whole Whoopi situation, for someone who works in television and got a small glimpse about how that show is run, it wasn't shocking to hear someone like Whoopi make such a fundamental error, but it was more so the shock of watching those who have created the ground rules for cancel culture. All of a sudden, they're telling us where we can and cannot apply their own standards. Suddenly, you have the opinion that what she said wasn't even incorrect, which it was, or worse, that it wasn't really a big deal. Who gets to decide that? I mean, what are the ground rules for this woke hell that they've created? How do they determine who has a right to be hurt and who doesn't? And why do we keep playing along? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because the Holocaust isn't on their list of topics. A genocide of 6 million doesn't qualify as a historic shame the way slavery or homophobia does. Or maybe it's just because Jews aren't considered a minority group, even though they make up, less than 0.2% of the entire global population. It's the same reason you don't hear this woke chorus, the so-called champions of the LGBTQ+ and raising minimum wage, have anything to say about gays being executed in Iran or the Uyghur children working in sweatshops in China. It's because they pick and choose. They're hypocrites. Their political and social opinions are formed by emotion and bully culture and TikTok, not by standards of human decency. Like many have said, ABC was so wrapped up in fixing the PR blunder that they forfeited the opportunity to really fix what happened. If we really want to promote tolerance, then it would have been better for Whoopi and the panel and their audience to be properly educated on this exact topic. Instead of having a knee-jerk reaction on whether she should be punished or not punished, it's better to ask, who are we punishing exactly? 2 weeks time off isn't going to prevent the next person from speaking incorrectly about the Holocaust or any other historic event. But just like every other canceled moment, instead of learning from it, it'll force people to stop talking about it, from tiptoeing around it, for fear of making an error, fear of getting canceled. And for those who believe she shouldn't have been punished at all, well, in this case, I kind of agree with you. I'd much rather see her and everyone else on the show and everyone else who's confused about this topic actually learn something rather than be silenced and remain ignorant. But the thing about cancel culture and intersectionality and social justice is that it cuts both ways. What these so-called thought leaders don't understand is that this is the world that they've created, and now they've got to live in it too.